I didn't reach that barrier of hitting like that threshold of understanding until I started looking into buying a home, considering buying rental properties. When I started to get to that point where I finally had that as a choice on the table at all, that's when I started to understand like that feeling psychologically is the inverse. You feel like you're doing something wrong or you're being penalized. You're literally giving money away. I've literally gotten access to so much more financially from doing so. Literally owning property, a phenomenal credit score, 780 to 800 plus across the board on FICO scores and credit profile to go with it. That has opened me up to so many more opportunities because I've talked about how credit contributes to your savings. One of my steepest learning curves on my journey to saving and investing over $100,000 has been navigating taxes, how to file taxes, the tax system. When I tell you that's been like one of the most challenging things, trying to understand how to play that game in order to effectively keep scaling my finances, it has been quite the learning curve, especially when you don't have somebody guiding you along the way. Coming from a working class background, and I mean that generationally speaking as well as myself, economically, I am used to and have been used to filing taxes like most of us in the working class do, which is striving to get a return back, going into the next year. And when you start to scale up your finances to a place where you're reaching that 100,000 mark beyond in savings and investments, you start to learn that you can't play that game the same way. And that's what my journey has been like. So, I had to completely revamp how I approach taxes, when I started to get to a certain point financially. Because what I learned was that taxes can actually become the barrier to you breaching a certain point. And I want to explain that. So one of the biggest components to me surpassing my 100,000 mark in savings and investments has been owning my home, which I've only done for, at the time of this recording, call it about a year and a half or so. But I actually was able to purchase my home with equity built into it. Not a ton, but a decent enough amount to be recognizable. And of course, there's been pay downs on the mortgage, etc. since that point in time, a little bit of appreciation. But it has played a role in contributing to my overall financial position. And that was that breaking point when I started to understand that I have to better grasp how taxes work and how the tax system works. Because up until that point in time, I hadn't really strived for anything that forced me to have to look at it differently. So the tax system is something that I've learned is basically like a guide or a blueprint on how to navigate economically in a capitalistic society in America, especially United States, particular variation of capitalism. The tax code is like the heart of how to function in the economy. It literally rewards those who function appropriately and penalizes those of us who don't. And it's strictly based around what's best for the overall whole of the economy. So basically, the tax code is designed, whether agree with or not, to incentivize us to participate a certain way. You will notice, as you've probably heard if you've watched any level of financial content on a regular basis, it's incentivizing business ownership and investments. It penalizes, believe it or not, the working class, the exchange of labor for money. And the basis behind that, according to those who designed it, is that in a sense of speaking, we contribute the least amount of value to the entire pie. We're taking the least amount of risk. And so for that reason, we are penalized the most or rewarded the least, however you want to look at that, tax-wise, when we are W-2 workers, when we're 1099 workers. We're not taking the level of risk an investor or a business owner is taking. And the higher you scale up with that risk, the more rewards that come in the tax system of keeping your own money, essentially. So I didn't reach that barrier of hitting like that threshold of understanding until I started looking into buying a home, considering buying rental properties. When I started to get to that point where I finally had that as a choice on the table at all, that's when I started to understand how powerful the tax code is and how I needed to function differently with it. So what I've learned is that you have to pay to play. The concept of trying to get that lump sum return going into the next year for the previous year's taxes for that year is something that gives a psychological rush to many of us. Many of us are really like, there's just a good feeling when a lump sum of money comes in. It really doesn't matter too much where it comes from. And that psychological rush is programming you and programming us like a dopamine hit to think that we're doing something that's to our benefit. And when you get to a certain point financially where you're considering buying property, when you're considering certain levels of investing, business ownership, like starting and growing a business, you quickly learn that filing taxes in a way that most of us normally file, meaning like we write everything off and deduct everything we can to try to get back as much of our money that we paid the year before. When you realize that that's actually shooting you in the foot from actually scaling up your finances, and that the inverse actually opens you up financially for more success, for acquiring assets, it's a mind-blowing experience, because essentially you not only not receiving 4, potentially sometimes 5 figures back in tax returns, and potentially even writing checks for 3 to 4 figures or potentially more in taxes. Like, that feeling psychologically is the inverse. You feel like you're doing something wrong or you're being penalized. You're literally giving money away, because a lot of us don't really correlate the environment around us to our tax dollars, like the infrastructure around us. So we just feel like we kind of writing a blank check. But believe it or not, that few $1,000s, or for some people upper thousands or even over $10,000 in tax return, is actually cutting you out from hundreds of thousands of dollars in financial growth and development. And that's something that I learned in this journey, is that with me filing the taxes the way I was filing it, and many of you may be doing the same, you are essentially hiding your income, or you're shooting your income in the foot, in the sense of speaking. Filing your taxes appropriately, meaning that you show all your income, you don't write everything off, you don't take every deduction possible, you show as much income as possible, allows you to participate at a higher level in the economic system, financially speaking. So me doing that properly opened me up to be able to purchase a home and work my way into purchasing investment property soon. It also opened me up to advancing my credit, believe it or not. This is one that's kind of left field, kind of a bonus, but me filing my taxes appropriately and showing as much income as possible the last handful of years allowed me to be able to show more income in all of my lending applications. And that's everything from credit cards to, working into mortgages, etc., like business lending that I've been dealing with. All of this has opened up for me because the way I've been filing my taxes allows me to confidently, whether stated or proof of income scenarios, put a higher income, and that's opened me up to higher credit limits, more lending and borrowing opportunities. Again, I was able to buy a home at the worst affordability, at least, at the time of this recording, in American history when it comes to residential real estate. I was able to buy with interest rates and prices sky high in 2023. And it was really like, I watched my affordability, I talked about this in another conversation, another video. I watched my affordability as interest rates rose, go from X amount of dollars down over $100,000 in purchasing power. And I still was able to get a quality piece of property because of the way I filed my taxes and the income that I was able to show. And of course, the hard work of even having that income in the first place, but the benefits that came along with filing my taxes the way it contributed to me getting access to better quality credit cards and other banking products that help build my credit. And then that credit score, along with showing demonstrated income, higher credit score, demonstrated income, rolled me into more affordability on my real estate. That same thing allowed me to purchase a property that I was able to buy on a short sale at a discount that has immediately added to my net worth position. You see the chain of events that took place all from how I filed my taxes. It's a powerful, dare I say, secret or, lesser talked about component to building wealth. You have to pay to play. You have to file your taxes appropriately when you reach a certain threshold. Literally, it sucks to not get a tax return and even possibly have to write checks, which I've had to do the last few years. I've had to pay the government on a federal and state level the last few years because of the way I'm filing my taxes. But I've literally gotten access to so much more financially from doing so. Literally owning property, a phenomenal credit score, 780 to 800 plus across the board on FICO scores and credit profile to go with it. That has opened me up to so many more opportunities because I've talked about how credit contributes to your savings because you're paying less for things. You're paying less for financing. The same thing with acquiring things. I'm starting a business that's starting to trickle in and generate income. Owning real estate and being able to capture really good real estate deals. People are arguing if, a primary residence is even any form of an asset. When you buy it, the way you buy it is where the money is made. And I bought mine at a discount. I was able to do that because I appropriately filed my taxes. And that same appropriate tax filing allowed me to have the credit score because I had access to financial resources and was able to build up my credit report. That all came together into one pot that has literally contributed greatly to me surpassing $100,000, well over $100,000 in savings and investments, and on my way to skyrocketing beyond that. So I'm just putting this out there as I kind of can just put out series to discuss more of my lessons and coming from a negative net worth and FICO scores below 550, really 500, to in about a 6 to 7 year window of time, having 780, 800 plus FICO scores and, savings and investments over $100,000. Debt well managed. Any debt I'm in is because I'm taking risk to bet on myself. But anything beyond that is completely squeaky clean. I have almost no personal debt. All of this has come with taxes in the helm of it at the center. Of course, you have to work hard, build up your income, but it's very important that you demonstrate your income, you demonstrate your financial capacity to handle more financial resources and scale yourself up. I hope this makes sense. Comment down below and let me know how you've been filing your taxes lately. Comment down below and let me know if you understand what I'm putting down in this video, or if you have experience with it, or let me know if this is something that turned on a light for you to think about. This video is probably going to be coming out right in the heart of tax season in 2025. So comment down below and just let me know what your experience has been with filing taxes and what it's either opened you up to or held you back from. To all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. As always, I want each and every one of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon. This is my blueprint for financial empowerment and self-sufficiency. This is my blueprint for optimal health and body mastery. This is my blueprint for mental, physical, and spiritual momentum. This is my blueprint for prosperity.